Mother's Day has a way of sneaking up on you. But when it does, 1-800-Flowers makes it easy to send Mom something beautiful, thoughtful, and worthy of everything she does. Right now, with double blooms from 1-800-Flowers, order 1 dozen roses and get another dozen for free. It's a bigger gesture, with fresh, beautiful flowers arranged to make Mother's Day feel as special as she is. Make Mother's Day feel bigger with double blooms at 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.
Planning is essential not just because it helps our children be all that they can be, but because it helps us answer that question: what happens after us? Planning is about building the bridge before you need to cross it. G'day, I'm Debra Caldow, and welcome to the Expanding Worlds podcast, where the focus is on helping you, as you support your young person with additional needs, plan for their future. A future where they're safe, secure, and live a rewarding and fulfilling life. From around the world, I share stories and I share solutions from people making this happen right now. I'm a parent of a young person with additional needs, so I understand the challenges. Many of the people I've interviewed on this podcast have already helped me design a better future for my daughter, and I hope that they might help you as well to imagine what's possible for your young person. In this episode, I want to talk about planning. And in fact, in every episode of this podcast, it's always about planning, because we all know that the only way to answer that question, what happens to our children when we're no longer around, is to put a plan in place. And when it comes to planning, the perfect quote really is, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time is now. But for many of us, planning becomes something for tomorrow, because it feels too daunting to think that far ahead. And then when things are going well, when there is time to plan, we just want to sit back and breathe. We want to enjoy those moments, not start to think about what might happen tomorrow, or next week, or next year. But starting to plan isn't just necessary. It's a fundamental part of how we help shape our children's long-term independence and their quality of life. And let's be honest, the systems around healthcare, education and support services are slow-moving. So starting early is one of the most effective things we can do. Lots of the services that our children need, from speech therapy to specialist equipment, have long waiting lists. And if you have a child that needs medical support, then clearly the earlier you can start getting this, the better. And then of course, when it comes to education, where most of us lose the will to live because of the ignorance and idiocy of the people around who tell us that they're there to support our children, it really is essential to have a plan, because that becomes a fundamental part of getting our children what they need. And the earlier we can do our planning, the better, because it directly addresses the delays, the financial burdens, and that support cliff that can really impact the future for our children. Now, I can say all this, but the reality is that we do often feel like we're drowning. So thinking about planning out the future is often the furthest thing from our mind. And I'll be honest, because it happened to me. When you get to a good place where the support your child needs is in place, you relax. Why not? You and your child deserve to enjoy these moments. So how do we keep planning when sometimes all we want to do is focus on the here and now? My advice is to start small and start slowly, but do something every day, whatever the age of your child. At the end of the day, we need to be planning for when we're not here, and we simply don't know when that will be. There was a reason that we ended up developing our route map to help with planning around 4 areas: daily living, purpose, relationships and finance. Because we found that all the planning we needed to do focused on one of these 4 areas, and having them defined separately made the planning process a lot easier. It also enabled us to move forward each day in one of these areas. When my daughter was younger, obviously purpose wasn't an issue. She was at school, and then to an extent, school also addressed the relationships line as well. But daily living skills could be worked on, so we developed a plan to get her doing more for herself around the house. Learning basic life skills takes time. Starting early allowed her the time to learn at her own pace. And this, I believe, has been one of the reasons why she now has the skills she needs for greater long-term independence. When it came to daily living skills, we found that getting our daughter started was the hardest part. She always had the learned helplessness skill. After all, why do it for yourself when someone else will do it for you? But once we got past that and she realised if she wanted it to happen, it was down to her, she stepped up. And I think as well for her, because she suddenly had this feeling of what she could do, she wanted to do more. And when I look back, I think this is one area where I wish we'd put a plan in place earlier. It's the easiest win. and long-term such a confidence builder. That better plan would have involved stepping back more and having a bit more patience than I had. I still think about the times that I stepped in because it was quicker for me to do it myself, and I realised I really was part of the problem, not part of the solution. When it came to finance, this is something that we did start early, because there was plenty of planning we could do which didn't need any action from her. This part of her life plan was about giving her a financial and a legal safety net. There is a lot to learn around this about trusts and wills and guardianship. I can say from my own experience, it takes time, not only to decide what the right options are for you and your family, but also to find the right people to help you. Anyone telling you this is a simple process is lying, but it's also not as complicated as many people will have you believe. And ultimately, we can get advice from others, but we are the ones that have to make the final decision. So there's a lot of things that can be done here in terms of doing the research. As I said, in many ways, school pushes the relationship line to an afterthought. But once our children leave education, then it can become much more difficult. But planning for relationships isn't just about helping them find a community. It's about planning for them to have the skills that they need to maintain relationships. This is one of those things we can do every day with family members and in social encounters, teaching them by showing them how positive relationships work. And what about purpose? In my opinion, the most important line of them all. Well, this is one where you start off with no plan, just belief. And that belief has to be unwavering. They will have a purpose. They will find something that will get them out of bed each day. Your job is to pass that belief on to them. That's the first step in the plan before there comes the time when you start looking at the options available to them. The practical things like work experience and volunteering can only come after that belief. I think there's a bit of a tendency as well when our children get older to hold on tighter. It's been a weird feeling for me, the changing dynamics between me and my daughter, as she becomes increasingly independent. And yes, that's what I've been planning for, what I've been hoping for, and what I know she needs to live the life that she wants, and the life that I want for her when I'm no longer around. But changing the way that we interact with our children is never easy. It's challenging moving from something you've known your whole life to another kind of relationship, one where you aren't as important. Codependency is real, and it's a hard habit to break. Planning is essential not just because it helps our children be all that they can be, but because it helps us answer that question, what happens after us? Planning is about building the bridge before you need to cross it. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope that the stories and solutions shared on here help you as you support your young person to create their future. If you'd like to support the podcast, then visit my Buy Me a Coffee page at buymeacoffee.com/expandingworlds. Or you can connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn at Debra Caldow. I'd love to have a conversation with you on any of the topics we all care about. Bye for now.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.